Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm here with our family of seekers. We are reading through this ancient wisdom text called the Bhagavad Gita, and this text is like a manual for living. It's a spiritual manual for living, and it teaches us about this mind-body machine, and and it teaches us about this material energy that's all around us. And it teaches us about connection with source. And it teaches many other things. But those are the three I'll say for now. And and it's really what we've all found here together. We gather Monday, Thursdays together and we read this text. We talk about its relevance to our lives. And we've found just how transformational it is to the heart. How it really just starts to change the way that you view the world around you, the way that you view relationships, the way that you view your work life, and the way that you view yourself. And it's been so profound. It's really, for me, it's really helped me upgrade my life. It's been a total life upgrade since I started studying the Gita. And thank you all for being here and taking this journey with me. And if you haven't read the Gita before, or you've never heard of the Gita before, that's no problem. You can still just jump in right here, right now, and benefit greatly from these verses because you'll see as we go over today's verse, just how relevant these verses, the Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago, but it's still just so relevant today. So it's just completely timeless, this ancient wisdom. So today we're in chapter 9, and we're going to start with text 33. But before we do that, Shakti, do you want to say our prayers for us? And these prayers are just prayers of gratitude to our teachers and those that have walked the path before us, that have brought us this divine wisdom. So, Shakti, when you're ready.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kara Mayam Dandati Sva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyvari Paschataya Tarayane He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you, Shakti. Okay, let's get right into it today with text 33. When you're ready, Stella.
Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajasayastata anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. How much more this is so of the righteous brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me.
Thank you. So what Krishna, this speaker of the Gita here, is saying is very encouraging. And Krishna, when we say Krishna, it's a word that we use for God. Krishna means God. Krishna means all attractive. So when we say Krishna, it's a word for God. And that's who we're talking about. And the Gita takes place here. We have Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is a warrior, and he's getting ready to fight on a battlefield. And Krishna is serving as his friend and his guide and driving his chariot. And so they're having this dialogue on this battlefield, and that's what's happening here. And what he's telling Arjuna in this instance is very encouraging. He's basically saying, if people who start with fewer advantages can rise up in life, if you start from fewer advantages and you can rise up through this process of devotional service, then why wouldn't you, Arjuna, be able to? Because in the verse before, we heard Krishna explain that even those who appear disadvantaged by birth or circumstance can be elevated through this bhakti practice. So it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what your gender is, what your socioeconomic background is. It doesn't matter what you've even done in your past. If you've made a lot of mistakes in your past, it doesn't matter. You can be elevated through this practice, through this spiritual practice. So what Krishna is saying here is he's saying, so if someone who starts from a pretty disadvantaged place can rise, someone like you who is starting from a pretty favorable starting point, you're definitely in a good place here. And so this is Arjuna, because Arjuna is a saintly person. He's in a high class of society, and he has every advantage going for him here. So this is what Krishna is telling him. If people that start from a much lower place can do it, you can do it. It's like have you guys ever I used to hike a lot when I lived in New York. And when you're hiking up a mountain and you see like little kids or like people that are older than you just like knocking it out, like no problem, they're just climbing up the trail. And you start to think like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna here. Everybody can do it, but he's saying, Arjuna, if they can do it, you can definitely do it. You're definitely in a good place. So this is the mood he's creating here. And then Krishna widens the lens beyond Arjuna to include all of us, because this conversation is happening between Arjuna and Krishna, but Krishna's really speaking to all of us. He's also through Arjuna. He's giving us all of this wisdom. And he's saying, we're already here in the material world. Yeah, we're already here. We all took birth in this material world. So the intelligent thing to do is to use our time that we have here to reconnect with him. And the part that I really want to zoom in on in this verse is when Krishna calls this world temporary and miserable. Temporary and we may think, wow, that sounds like a pretty pessimistic view of the world. Okay, we know it's temporary, but miserable? We may think like I'm having a pretty good time. I have a pretty good life. And to some extent you do. To some extent we do have comfortable livings. But at the same time, we know that as comfortable as we are in this particular moment and circumstance, it's only a matter of time before the shoe's going to drop and we're going to be in a pretty uncomfortable situation. Maybe not physically or maybe emotionally, or this is the nature of this world. It's going to be a little pretty comfortable, and as soon as you get super comfortable, it's going to be really uncomfortable. Or for some, it just may be always uncomfortable. But we have to understand this is the nature. It's temporary, and you're going to experience some level of misery. And what he's saying here, he's not saying that we should be emotionally numb or constantly gloomy. That's not what he's saying here. It's not, it's like if my baby's crying And I just say, "Oh, okay, well, my baby's just realizing that they're suffering, so I'll just let her cry. She'll be okay." That's not being enlightened, right? That's just being cruel. So the point isn't to glorify suffering. And the point isn't to pour all of our energy into trying to make this world perfectly comfortable. And that's really what the Gita is getting at here. It's trying to tell us, to teach us, by design, the world is never going to be perfectly comfortable. And if you spend all of your time and energy trying to make it so, you're just going to be like that hamster on the wheel, running up and down and up and just constantly, because you're just going to keep getting fed uncomfortable situations. So to commit your whole life to just trying to make it more comfortable is essentially kind of a waste of life. The Gita is really trying to get us to see something deeper, something more purpose driven. It's the Gita's inviting us to develop this ability to stay steady even when things are uncomfortable. That's what we have to do. We have to see that things are going to be uncomfortable, but expect that. Expect that things are going to be uncomfortable. We know it's not desirable. Discomfort isn't desirable, but it's not unnatural either. It's an inevitable part of everyone's lives. I'll say that again. Discomfort is an inevitable part of everyone's lives. So we don't have to escape it at all cost or treat it like a personal failure. We just get so distracted by the discomfort that we experience or the ups and downs of life. Gita's saying, don't get so caught up in that you miss the actual point of life. And a helpful way to understand this is to see the world like a hospital. See the world like a hospital. A hospital is not pleasant. There's pain, there's stress, there's waiting, there's uncertainty. Anybody who's ever been in a hospital for a long time, like if you've been a patient in a hospital for a long time, it's like you just can't wait to get out. It's like that's all that you're thinking about. It's because it's so uncomfortable. And that's what you expect. No one walks into a hospital expecting it to feel like a luxury resort, like retreat. You go because you need healing, and you accept that there's going to be some discomfort with that. So you focus on just getting better, taking the medicine, following the treatment, so that you can get out. That's a hospital. So Krishna is saying something very similar here about this world. He's not denying that there's suffering here. He's being very honest about it. But he's also saying, I'm not just pointing out the problem, but I'm giving you the treatment. And the treatment is devotional service. Activities that remind us of our true identities as spirit souls, right? And our connection with Source, our connection with divinity. This is the way out. And what happens is when we begin practicing these practices, these bhakti practices, something subtle but powerful happens. Because on a spiritual level, we start loosening our identification with suffering altogether. And when that happens, even practically day-to-day life begins just to feel lighter. Because we're not so overly identified with it anymore. We're more situated in reality, which is, look, this material existence is going to be a place of suffering. Don't expect it not to be. Don't expect it. It's a place of suffering. And when we start to practice bhakti, these spiritual practices, and we start to identify more with our spiritual identity as a spirit soul, we start to identify less with our material identities, right? That keep us caught in the ups and downs of lives. And when that happens, there's a lightness that comes. Right? There's a humility that comes. We understand our rightful position. This is the definition of humility. Right? We're just a very small spark of Krishna's splendor. And when we realize this, our ego softens, our compassion for others grows, conflict shrinks. Because even so much of this suffering that we experience, like on a day to day, especially in relationships, it isn't inevitable. It's human made. We cause it. We cause it. It comes from fear, pride, reactivity. So bhakti is like a medicine for that infection. It gives us access to a higher happiness. And that's one that gradually replaces this restlessness, this anger, this anxiety. Anybody else notice when you start practicing bhakti that you just show up as a better person in your relationship? I think the practice of bhakti has like saved my relationship because it's taught me and it holds me accountable to being a person of that is compassionate, that is accepting, right, that is non-judgmental. And when we identify with our spiritual self, these qualities are byproducts of that realization. This is what happens because we realize, hey, look, I'm actually not the center of the universe. We walk around this world thinking, I'm the center of the universe. And then we bump into somebody who thinks that they're the center of the universe. And then we have problems. This are big problems in the world. But when we can learn, hey, actually, I'm not the center of the universe. And also, that other person, they're not the center of the universe. Krishna is the center of the universe. And when we can understand that, and when we can all take our rightful position to serve Krishna as the center of the universe, we become better people. So the more that we practice bhakti, the more that we share it, we're not just cleaning up our own inner messes, but we're actually helping others heal too. And so that's what Krishna's saying here. He's saying, you're here now. Take the medicine. Serve me. And this is going to bring us to a deeper takeaway of this verse, which I want to get into next. But before we even go there, maybe we take just a moment to discuss the happenings of this weekend and try to apply some of the Gita's teachings to the happenings of this weekend. I'll be honest. I was sitting on my couch Saturday, and I looked at my phone and I saw Kalachandji's Facebook post about what had happened in Minnesota, about the shooting of Alex. Is it Preeti or is it Pretty? I'm not. His last name Pretty.
I think it's pretty.
Pretty.
Yeah,
Alex Pretty. Yeah, and I usually don't get so involved in these things because it just like makes me so sick that I avoid it. But I saw this Facebook post from our very own Kalachandji, and I thought, okay, if Kalachandji is getting involved, maybe I should have some kind of level of awareness. So I started looking into it a little bit deeper, and sure enough, I felt completely sick to my stomach when I started watching these videos. I mean, the first one I watched just like brought tears to my eyes. I mean, it's pretty horrific what's going on in the world right now. Regardless of whether you're Democrat or Republican, you can say it's pretty horrific what is going on in the world right now. And it's heart-wrenching. I mean, that day I feel like it was all I could think about. And the Gita is not telling us, is not like minimizing these problems. It's not saying, oh, it's just a material world problem, rise above that. It's acknowledging like these things that we're dealing with, that we're seeing, that we're experiencing is completely heart-wrenching. And as human beings, as a person with a level of humanity, we're going to feel that. We're going to feel that. And what the Gita's doing is saying, expect this of the world. And this was actually what my husband said, because we were just talking yesterday. I guess Minnesota is now bringing in the National Guard. And he said, this is just, my husband's an incredibly compassionate person, but he said, this is just going to cause more violence. Not, and he wasn't saying that was a bad thing that they were bringing in the National Guard, but he's just saying this is going to cause more violence. But the way he said it, it was like almost like it had already happened. Like it was just like he knew this is where it's going. It's just more violence. And it's like we have to almost expect that this world is going to be like that. It's going to be a place of violence. It's going to be a place, scriptures tell us, it's going to be a place of quarrel, hypocrisy in this age that we're in right now. We have to expect that. And it doesn't necessarily make it any easier, but we can't get so wrapped up in it that it brings us so far down that we even maybe lose faith or get off the path. Because, and this is the bigger point we're going to get to in what we're going to talk about next, we get so bogged down in the miseries that we're experiencing or we're witnessing or going on in our communities, our societies around us. We can't get so caught up in it that we lose sight of the purpose of why we're here. And if we can really connect with that purpose, we can lift ourselves up and we can help others lift up also. And there's not ever going to be a existence where we can just get rid of all the miseries. But if we can connect to a purpose-filled life, we can bring ourselves up and bring people around us up. And that's what the Gita is offering us here, a way to do that. And in times like these, it's very reassuring because we start to feel helpless. We start to feel like, what is the point of all this? This is just so, there's not even a word for how ugly and terrible things are sometimes. So it's good to, I mean, I was grateful for College Country's post that I didn't just stick my head in the sand like I typically do because it's too hard to take. We have to be realists. We have to see what's going on around us, but at the same time, we can't get too swept away by it that we lose touch with the purpose of what we're doing here and and why. Does anybody want to share anything, Kalachandji? Do you want to share anything around?
No, thank you. It's perfect, everything you're saying. Thank you.
I'd like to say that
Yes.
I found it to be a big opportunity for prayer, for everyone involved in that. That Dharma, looking at it through the lens of Dharma, I mean, to pray for all those people who are rage filled, to pacify their hearts. I was really thinking of Prahlad's prayers. Um, and, you know, you try to help, and in this material world, and you just get shot down, like, so everybody in that situation needed prayer. And the Bible says to pray for our enemies as well. So no matter what side you're on, everybody needs the prayers really bad. Every single person in that situation.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that reminder. Sometimes we get so full of hate or anger, we just want revenge. We just want things to, but that's such a healthier outlook on things is prayer and not we're not seeking revenge even for the people that we feel revengeful towards, but we're praying for their purification because we know, I think my husband told me that the thing that happened, the shooting that happened a few weeks ago in Minnesota when the lady was shot in the face, the man who shot her like a couple months prior was drugged several blocks. His arm was drugged by a car several blocks. So it sounds like he had some kind of PTSD there. But it's like people be acting like this with so much hate. It's their conditioning is just filled with so much hate, probably because their experiences, and in that they're also still human. It's we can easily see them as monsters or but at the end of the day they're humans that are dealing with their own conditionings and are struggling also. And I was actually I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about the mother of Alex. And I was also thinking of the person that did that, that committed that crime. And it's also just to think of how miserable you must feel to do that. Even if you can't acknowledge it, even if you don't acknowledge it, just what you even would have to do to cover up what your feelings of taking another life. It's these things are heavy and everybody needs our prayers.
Yeah, and it's
Thank
not to
you.
gaslight and just say, "Oh, thoughts and prayers," like,
Right.
but like, um, but if we sincerely, uh, not to throw a veil over it, but to, because I think some people say, "Oh, thoughts and prayers," just to throw a veil over it, like,
Mm,
it's out of our hands. But I think as people who do believe in that God can act on hearts,
mm,
that it's got to be not just a, oh, I hope everybody's okay, but a really sincere prayer. And I know some people have criticized me for posting a lot of stuff about it, but it's also, we have to keep reminding people of what is dharma and what is justice.
mm,
um so but the prayer can be for us too, to act where we can act. I've been posting the Capitol switchboard number on my wall over and over and over again. Like, there
mm,
are avenues that we can take that, um, don't take sides, but can maybe create more justice, because
mm.
we can't ignore the injustice, as people of God. I mean, Jesus wept because of all of this.
Right.
And I think about him saying too, like, I feel like a mother hen just wanting to bring all her chicks under her wing. It's like, um, anyway, sounds very rambly, but I just wanted to make sure that thoughts and prayers can sometimes be a gaslight sort of thing.
Mm,
But people of prayer can be really strong and sincere.
yeah. Powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Stella. Shakti. And if you're new to this podcast, if you have anything that you want to share or reflect on or any questions, feel free to just raise your hand and we share here. We share here. So Shakti.
I I feel so sad. Just I feel sad for the person who the people like the man who shoved the woman before, like this gentleman, Pretty Alex Pretty, who was killed, was trying to help this woman who this man just like shoved her so hard that she fell to the like I cry for him because what is happening in his heart, that he is so angry to shove somebody to the ground. Then they shoved another person, and then when Alex Pretty was trying to just help, you can see someone like grab him so hard, like the anger that's going on with these all of those people, and they pull him down, and there's like, I don't know, 8 men on him, and then you just hear literally, I think, you see someone take the gun, and immediately someone pulls out a gun, and there's like 10, at least 10 shots
Mm,
with 8 men on top of him.
mm,
And it's the sadness of this loss of life, like Stella was saying, like I'm with Stella here, but then also I cry for the all the people that were there, like the what is happening in their hearts, that
mm,
they're behaving in this manner, with
mm,
such disregard for humanity. And
mm,
it just like it breaks my heart, like at first I was like, "Ugh," I'm so angry, but then it really, like, that happens a lot for me where I'm angry, but then the real feeling is not anger. The real feeling is such sadness
Mm,
for all the pain of that, of just the whole situation. I mean, and how beautiful all of the people in that they made this most beautiful not like not a shrine, but like this, and they're bringing, candles, and they're peacefully just coming to show. There's some Catholic people, I think they brought prayers, and no one's looking at this, that. People are just praying
mm,
and coming to show the love, I don't know, but I'm assuming they also feel very angry, but also some people might feel like me, like so sad. It like breaks my heart, you
mm.
know. But
Yeah.
my significant other wanted to share something quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just hearing what you were saying about you know, like posting yesterday or whatever. Like even for me, just like watching things unfold like the last few weeks and just, you know, seeing, people that I know that were posting and just seeing how the reactions from both sides, right? Like they always like to pick sides. So I, so yesterday I decided, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm just gonna, you know, post something because at one point I was like, well, you know, the Secretary of whatever, Homeland Security,
Oh,
like saying like the judgment was already there, and I'm thinking, you know, but that's not what we saw. You know what I mean? It was weird because, you know, what we're seeing, what everyone is seeing, how whatever side you're on, like we're watching the same visual, yet one side sees it this way, one side sees it the other way, and I was just thinking like, but how if you're not there, you know, how do you actually know, and how can you, how can they 100% say this is what this person was, this is why they were there, this is their intent, like which you weren't there, right? But
Mm,
also
telling us
disregarding
what we
like
saw with our own
it's
eyes.
like I'm seeing
mm.
A, you're saying B. Like,
Right.
but we're all seeing A. So how is
Right.
B if we're all seeing A? Right. But
Yeah.
then I decided to post a little, thought on it. And it was just interesting to see people I knew. And I was like, oh, like, I didn't even know that they felt that way. And I was like, wow, it was just
Yeah.
but interesting to
Okay.
see, you know, people's reactions and you can the main part was, you know, more concern, I guess, like for me it was the concern for the person that lost their life and the people that were, he was trying to help,
Yeah.
right? And you're
Yeah.
thinking, well,
What
when
are the two of
we
them?
come from a place of kindness and just looking at it like no rush to judgment, you got to, find out everything that's happening. But again, like in my mind, I'm like, I would kept thinking, like, where's the humanity? Like, where is that
Where's the humanity?
compassion? Where is that,
Right.
it's some
Where's the
showed,
humanity?
some showing it, but then from the ones that weren't, I was like, well, where is all of that, you know, like Stella said, like that, the rage or the hate, like, where is it coming from? Right.
Right.
And, it's tough because, whatever country you're in, you kind of look to the leaders of the country to at least, gather everyone and keep everyone
Okay, I'm cutting you off.
calm, like,
Yeah.
calm. And it's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So this is exactly what the Gita is telling us here is, you know, expect this. The Gita even tells us that our leaders will be corrupt. I mean, that our leadership will be corrupt, but expect that it's going to be a place of suffering. And And like Stella said, sometimes it's our duty to defend the innocent. And we can't necessarily, as spiritualists, we can't just stick our heads in the sand. At the same time, we can't get carried away by it. We can't become so full of hate. We can't, we have to stay connected to source. We can't just be so into it that it's like it becomes our whole life. We wake up in the morning, it's the first thing we think. We have to keep the main thing the main thing. Right? And that is our connection with source and at the center of our lives. And this is what the Gita is teaching us, because if not, we will just be sucked down by the problem itself. It's and uh let's see, Katie, do you have something to share with us?
Haribo, yeah, I was thinking along those same lines, Radha, like, and I was thinking, oh, I hope it doesn't sound callous, about, like you're saying, expectations, like I remember learning, when I was newer from Hari Kirtan, what about, what is Kali Yuga? Like, what is this era of time we're in, and Krishna has like defined for us that we're in this iron age of quarrel and hypocrisy, or anger and hypocrisy. I think it's quarrel, but like, and I remember him saying, it's a dumpster fire. Like, it is a straight up dumpster fire. And not to make it sound funny or like weird, but I remember feeling like so like relieved in a way, like, okay, at least now I understand the parameters, like understand a little more about the material world and like the training ground that it is, and like um and the time that we're in, what to expect and what to hold on to and what to keep connected to. And like Stella was saying, like, it doesn't mean to just be like, well, nothing to do here. It actually means like show up more, stand up more. Like at work, I know I'm like, I have no self-preservation at all. And because the part of my job is to protect a group of people, from the higher ups at work. And like, it's a really, it sucks. Like, and it's and also we have these feelings and these drives to um you know put ourselves on the line, um and be helpers, even in the face of so much danger, and I think that those are things are really important too, and leading by example, and um but remembering our environment, and trying to do it from a place where we know, we know what Krishna's told us about, and yeah, I don't know how to wrap that up really, but that was coming to my mind. And then earlier you were saying, like, I think Krishna saved my relationship before, there I this is kind of aside, but like there was a time when my husband and I were having a really bad fight, and I might have shared this before, but like he just needed to step outside for a sec. I was like losing it, and I just crawled out to Krishna and started, like, just came to me like, I need to chant right now. And I think that was the only thing that brought my mood back to a place where, like you were saying, I wasn't like lost in it anymore. I like remembered the connection, and then we were able to, and I'm sure Krishna helped him too. And then we were able to like bring it back down and avoid like a real catastrophe in the relationship. So I don't know, that came to my mind too, that like we're in these situations so we can cry out and connect and reach out and rely on each other and be open and not hide and not gaslight or not bypass, but like also try as we can, as best we can, to like keep one foot grounded in Krishna, during all this
Yes.
really, really tough stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Thank you, Katie. And I like what you said too. Some of us may have a duty to protect. That's our job. That's our dharmic responsibility. And what the call is for, what the call is here is not to neglect that duty, but do that duty, protect people or whatever it is that is your dharmic duty, your dharmic responsibility. Do it as a service to God. Don't do it as a service to your ego. Because to the extent we do it as a service to our ego, we get swept into it. We are overly identified with it. It becomes us. And then we're just like married to the conflict and the ups and downs of the world. But if we can still do our duty, and this is the whole purpose of the Gita, what Krishna is teaching Arjuna, do your duty, but do it as a service to me. And in that way, you're liberated. You're not just holding on to the miseries of this world for dear life. You're actually higher than them, even though you're still acting in the world. This is spiritual wisdom. This is spiritual knowledge. And this is what Krishna's teaching Arjuna and all of us. Gita. Yeah.
Mhm.
Stella. Stella? Oh, you're on mute. Are you?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Um, that was all great, and without getting into detail, I just loved everything Katie just said. I really connect and resonate with that. So for us, I did feel myself just consumed by so many things, and on emotions. And on Sunday, we spent all of Sunday morning, 4 hours, just online with devotees. We're very physically, geographically isolated here. And so there were like three different sanghas, and it I came out of that just really feeling, I don't know what word to use, but it was wonderful. It changed my whole mindset around, and so just reminded me of the importance and power of devotee association, and to be able to come here and hear devotees and discuss with devotees these issues is invaluable. So thanks so much, and that meant so much to us as well.
Thank you, Kalachandji.
Yeah, I really second that. It like brought clarity of vision to thinking about it. It wasn't just, all stuck with the mud of emotion. We could think about it more clearly after just even today. It just feels wonderful to talk to others about it with who have dharma, you know.
Right. Dharma. We say this word dharma and it means like the right thing to do, like the dharmic thing to do, just be
And
the right thing to do.
I thought
Yeah.
of this man, Alex. He's an ICU nurse, and some people ask me like, well, he shouldn't have been there. But as a nurse, maybe he went to see if he could help, you know?
Yeah. 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 Beautiful. And so this is it. This is how we do. You take it in, you sit with it, you feel the feels, and then you try to connect to a higher vibration so that you can start to kind of assimilate it and not get pulled down into the darkness of it. And you can catch Krishna's light. And in that you catch Krishna's light and you share Krishna's light with others. And sometimes we even have to set like limits. Like I set, social media. You can do this on your phone. You can set like a time limit so that you get kicked off of social media at a certain time. I do that. I get 20 minutes of social media a day, and then it kicks me off. And sometimes we have to do that. We have to say, okay, no more. I can't sink into this anymore. I have to connect with something higher because this is dragging me down. We have to we have to kind of be the keepers of our consciousness that way. So yeah, I want to bring us to this last point that we're going to talk about today, and that is, and we've covered it a lot, but just to kind of synthesize, bring it all together. The Gita isn't asking us to chase a problem-free life. It's not asking us to chase a problem-free life. It's inviting us to live a purpose-filled life. It's inviting us to live a purpose-filled life. Because if we're honest, problems don't even bother us nearly as much as pointless problems. Like a patriot, somebody fighting for their country, it's easier to accept the risk that they're going to die for their country, then they're more scared of like dying in a meaningless accident before they even get there. So 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 we have to the Gita helps us see that purpose is woven into life itself. Even in moments that seem random, unfair, meaningless, we have to understand that Krishna is orchestrating the events of the world and the events of our own lives to support our devotional growth. And devotion is not a side project of life, it's the purpose of existence. We have to understand this. It's the purpose of existence is not just to like get a bunch of material things and get higher statuses and more money, and those things are important to some extent. But we can't start to think that that's the purpose. We can't forget the purpose of life of spiritual practitioners. Because if a lot of us are trained to think that material advancement is the goal. I was trained that way. I got degrees, money, all the things. But what happens, we'll see if we chase that, we will get frustrated by the nature of the world itself. Okay, things are going to change, things are going to fall apart. Even if we're just completely married, we're completely identified to our role of being a change agent. We have to understand that we're going to get frustrated. We're going to get frustrated. So when we shift our focus to spiritual growth as our primary purpose, this changes everything. Every situation, even difficult ones, become an opportunity to deepen our devotion, deepen our awareness, deepen our connection with Source. And it's the foolproof way to keep us from getting just tied to the ups and downs of life, just on the roller coaster of life. We may experience some sadness, but just like Kalachandji said, as spiritualists, we know we're going to experience some sadness, but we know, all right, I've sat in this, I've experienced this. I need to connect to something higher. I need to connect to a higher vibration, and this is going to pull me out. And this is what's even going to enable me to be a real agent of change. If you really want to change the world for the better, you have to do it in this connection with Source. It can't be in service of your ego. That's also a dead end. You might make some progress, you might make some positive impact, but you won't be nearly as empowered as if you're doing it as service, as pure service to God, right? And service, and in that way, service to humanity, not service to your ego, and in that way, service to humanity. There's a difference there. There's a difference there. One is limitless, and one you're gonna hit the limit. You're gonna hit the limit, and if you're lucky, you'll stay there. But if you're not, and more than likely, you're gonna start to fall down. You're gonna start to get pulled away. Very vulnerable at that place. So Srila Prabhupada, this great saint, Acharya in our line, he says that this world no one is truly happy, regardless of their position. So if we obsess over material differences, who has more money, who has better looks, who has higher intelligence, we're gonna miss the big picture. Whatever it is that we're getting pulled into in this material world, and just making it our life's purpose, if it's not spiritually orientated, we're missing the big picture. We've made our life purpose to make ourselves comfortable and make everybody else comfortable. When we know, the Gita tells us, this is even an impossible mission. It's not even possible. But even more than that, it's not even gonna really fulfill your soul. It's not even really gonna fulfill your heart. It's like being on an airplane. There's different seats. First class, we know, is more comfortable in economy. But if someone's like so obsessed with getting a better seat that they're like, I'm not even going to take this economy seat. I'm just going to get off the plane. They're never going to reach their destination. And this is what happens when we get so obsessed with the comfort of this world. It's a death sentence to it. Like we're like handcuffing ourselves to it when we get so obsessed with the comfort of this world. And we're never going to get to our final destination. So we have to understand life has different levels of comfort, different times in your life, different places, different people. And there's nothing wrong with improving comfort when possible. But don't abandon the journey in the name of comfort. Don't abandon the journey in the name of comfort. So this is the heart of this verse. No matter your material situation, practice devotional service, these practices that remind you of your eternal identity and connect you to source. Bhakti purifies us, even your apparent disqualifications. So no matter who you are, where you started, where you're from, what mistakes you've made, nobody is disqualified from connection with source. Nobody. And we all come with tendencies, limitations, dispositions shaped by our nature. And acknowledging this, it's not a weakness, it's just wisdom. But when we live in harmony with our nature and we engage it in God's service, we become internally peaceful and therefore externally effective. And then over time, this practice of bhakti is going to lift us even beyond all of that. But this is Krishna's invitation here. Wherever you are, start, serve, and move forward. So this is the class for today. Do we have any other reflections or shares? Anybody in? I want to save some, if anybody hasn't shared yet and has something to share, I want to save some time for that. I know we haven't heard from Aaron. We haven't heard from Hari, Narayani. Jessica, if you would like to share something, not to put you on the spot, no need to, but if anything's coming to mind, we'd love to hear from some of you. Jennifer, Aaron.
Hare Krishna. Um, I really love what you just said about being internally peaceful and externally effective. I feel like that's like such a big takeaway. And yeah, I get what everyone has been saying, and I feel like I benefit from these um insights, but my dog really wants this banana. But I find it really hard to to share with others who aren't, you know, in this podcast or like reading the Gita or like, without it seeming like well, just remember the point of life is God realization and like and seeming like ups and downs, that's part of life, and seeming to like minimize, what the realities of the real suffering. And I don't feel like that's what we do. I feel like I feel like devotees are constantly talking about how, you know, acknowledging everyone's suffering on all the different levels. But I don't know, it is just something that I struggle with because like I find solace in a lot of these teachings. Um, but sharing it I find hard.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like in like
Yeah.
and I don't mean sharing it like in a normal time. I don't know what even normal is, but like in a non-chaotic, non like uh just like a less intense time. But like to share it now feels um I don't know, it feels like an extra challenge in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally fair. And somebody might even feel like you're being kind of insensitive if
Mm,
you just like you said, you take that like you just have to expect it's a place of suffering. And so maybe that's not even the right approach to take.
mhm,
Maybe the right approach to take is just sharing compassion
yeah.
and love from a pure place, and also resisting the urge to jump on the perpetrators and be divisive.
Mm.
Maybe it's just showing up from a spiritual perspective. And that's different people are ready for different levels of spiritual truth. And we even have to become kind of expert at administering that medicine. We can't just necessarily like reveal everything because some people aren't going to be ready to take it or to stomach it. So, but there are things that we can, just from a level of humanity, we can connect with people. And then over time, maybe or maybe not, that they'll be ready for more. But we can all start with the basic human principle of compassion and love and acceptance and non-judgment and non-divisiveness. We can all start with that. Those things are just underlining principles of connection and love that people can relate to. Yeah. And I would say if you pray about it, it'll even be revealed to you maybe what's the right medicine and dosage for that circumstance, person, time, place. If it's coming from a really sincere place, it will be revealed to you how to distribute that. If it's coming from a place of ego, which I know I've made this mistake, like I need you to believe what I believe and think, it's like it's not going to happen. It's going to create more conflict. So we have to really purify our intention there. Nice reflection. No, thank you, Erin. Anybody else we haven't heard from today? Jennifer, we haven't heard from you.
Hare Krishna. When we first started, I was really getting uneasy about the topic because I'm a total avoider with all of this stuff. I've been off social media for 10 years. And then I started writing, kind of like violent writing. And then I got really, really settled with all of this because it's a complete outline, of what we study, the Bhagavad Gita. It's like we have been told in Bhagavad Gita that the word is, like you said, there's not a word, in which we came to the end, the word is Kali Yuga. We've been told that this is what we're in. And, every group, every religion thinks they're right. Every demonstration thinks they're right. Every political agenda thinks they're right. So, and as you just said, it's that the ego, that's not Krishna-centered. That's that rightness. And then this like coming together that we're doing now is like talking about it. It's like getting kind of evened out. And it's even now my heart is racing, about that. And it's like being able to talk about it, and getting centered. And knowing that the only way out, the Prabhupada told us that the only way out of this is to cry out. That's what I'm feeling now. I feel like I'm going to burst into tears. It's like the only way out is to cry out. It's the only way, the only way, the only way. And the only time I've really done that is when I am flat on the ground and there's been no other way. And I don't know why I don't do it all the time, but it's when I'm absolutely suffering. I wish I had that heart at every moment, and I just don't. I don't know why I'm not there because I've suffered pretty much my whole life, But I've loved this because I'm really on fire right now with all this and kind of shaky. But I read about it, I believe it, and I wish I could be there all the time. I really do believe it. I really, really believe it. But I mean, I have to be just hammered down before I really do come to these tears and cry out, and see these things and hear about these things. And I really do believe it, but I don't know why I have to just be beaten down before I really do it. So I obviously needed to hear this because I'm on fire right now. My hands are kind of shaky and I know I'm gonna burst into tears right after and obviously I needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. You and me both need to be need to be beaten down to get it. And sometimes, those are the circumstances that Krishna arranges for us so that we can realize. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Really beautiful, vulnerable reflection. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you here. If anybody else wants to share before we go. But it was so nice to be here with you all and to work through some of these struggles together. And as we move forward in our journeys and in our purpose in this life. So thank you all for being on this journey. And we'll see you on Thursday. So much love to you all.